Hi everyone. Sorry the light's really bad today. It's sort of going from sun to cloud, sun to cloud, sun to cloud. So this is my third week of doing Weight Loss Wednesdays with Naomi Judge. That's me. I'm a naturopath and nutritionist, and I specialise in weight loss. In particular, women's weight loss today. We're going to talk a little bit about women. I've had a few comments and I've had a few some feedback from people that they want to know about macronutrient ratios, and I also had another topic that someone wanted me to discuss, Nadine wanted me to discuss, and that was food cravings and what certain food cravings mean in terms of texture, in terms of type of food. But today I'm going to talk about women specifically, so this is mainly for women. It does apply to men, but I'm going to go in a little bit more detail about women's weight loss in terms of, you may have been on a bit of a diet roller coaster, so what you're looking for is just a little bit of a help. And that's what these Periscopes are about. They're not about sudden weight loss. They're not about starving yourselves. This is about a holistic way to lose weight, a way to care for yourself, feel good about yourself, and do it in a way that's consistent, but also you can keep it as a habit and you can keep it going. So it's a diet that you can keep going. It's exercise that you can just do consistently, daily or weekly or monthly, so it becomes part of your lifestyle. So that's the whole point of this. So last week we talked about cold therapy for weight loss. So I advise you to have a cold glass of water in the morning, or have a cold shower, or to jump in the ocean, cold ocean, an ice bath, or cryotherapy chambers. So all of those are a great way. It's another way to kind of lose weight. So that's the cold therapy. We also talked about cravings in terms of doing things to stop the cravings or to help with the cravings. And one of the tips that I gave that not many people know about is using Candy Crush as a way to stop cravings. So you can actually play Candy Crush daily. Thanks, keep those hearts coming, guys. You can keep those curb those sugar cravings at bay just by playing Candy Crush. But today, we're going to talk about macronutrients for women. So obviously out of all of the macronutrients, we've got your carbohydrates, we've got your fat, we've got your proteins. So they're your macronutrients. And then we've got kind of like the food group, which is kind of the most important, and that is your leafy greeny vegetables. So all your vegetables, your coloured vegetables. We're not talking about starchy veg because they go into carbs. So starchy veg are your sweet potato, are your pumpkin, foods like that that go into turnips, your root vegetables. They go into your carbs. So we put them to one side. By vegetables, I mean your broccoli, your lettuce, your cabbage, your zucchini, your capsicum, your cucumber. Those are your vegetables. So for women, you need to pay particular attention to your body shape, your body size, and where you put weight on. So I will give you an example. So for women, well, this goes for actually women and men. If you put weight on, say, thanks for inviting people, guys. That's nice. Hi. For women in particular, if you find you put weight on, there's a couple of different areas on the tummy. We've got the general bloat. Now, the general bloat is usually due to food intolerance and hormones. So the general bloat can be gluten. So, for instance, if I had a few days on gluten, I would get a bit bloated. Take gluten out, and within 3, 4, 5 days, you actually know your stomach start to flatten down. So that's the bloat. But then there's actually fat gain. So fat gain kind of around the tummy, or fat gain on the thighs. Now, around the tummy, if you get fat gain, that can be your blood sugar. So on the tummy, kind of upper tummy, you start to get a bit big and you just can't shift it. You're exercising, you're running, you're doing all those types of things, but you're getting that weight on your tummy. That often means blood sugar, and so we're looking at carbohydrates, lowering those carbohydrates. So for you, a lowish carb diet would work. Doesn't work for everybody, but for you it would work. So if you tend to have a lot of belly fat, but the rest of your body is kind of okay, you exercise, but you can't get rid of that belly fat, we're looking at a lowish carb diet. So starchy carbs, good carbs, so just keep them low. So we're looking at the ratio of about 10% women need carbs, and you definitely need carbs at night time to help you sleep, to help feed hormones, to help feed gut bacteria. So we're looking at things like a tablespoon of legumes a day. We're looking at like a cup of sweet potato. We're looking at some basmati rice, that kind of thing. So we're looking at around 10%. And that's especially if you have that problem with the fat on your tummy. So what you need to do is, so you don't get hungry, you need to up your fat. So up your fat, bring your carbohydrate down, and put your protein to a minimum, because protein as well can turn to glucose in your blood sugar, in your body, sorry. So we want to keep protein medium, carbohydrates down, and we want to up the fat. Now, by doing that, you will notice that you have significant weight loss. However, if you are a woman and you actually have really imbalanced hormones and you have really high estrogen and you have a lot of weight on your thighs, so lots of weight on your thighs or lots of weight on your underarms, you need to be careful of a really high fat diet, which means you need to adjust the ratios. So look at your body type and just have a think about where you distribute the fat. You can ask me some questions if you want, but just think about where the fat's distributed. So if you've got, the lots of fat on your thighs, but your stomach's kind of flat. Some people have a nice flat stomach, but they've got bigger thighs or bigger arms, and they've got more of a curvy hour-shaped figure. So a nice flat stomach, curvy hour-shape, but quite big thighs. Be careful if you put the fat too high. In that case, you don't want to have a really high fat diet. You want to just bring the fat down a little bit, because what the fat will be doing is the fat's a precursor to your hormones. So it's great if you're fatigued and you need that boost. It's great if you're overweight because of carbohydrates. But if your estrogen's too high, you need to bring the fat down a little bit. So if you're putting on weight due to too many carbs, and you'll know, do you crave carbohydrates? Do you crave pasta? Do you crave bread? Do you have a sort of a belly and that you can't get rid of? In that case, my advice is 10% carbs, and look at those good carbs. Look at the sweet potato, look at the pumpkin, look at the legumes. And then what you want to do is you want to even out the others. So lots of leafy green veg, about 50% of your diet. Then what you want to do is you want to have protein at around 20%. And then what you want to do is you want to sort of balance out the fat. So then you go fat, and then you want to keep carb to about 10%. But if you put weight on in the thigh, you want to swap the carbohydrate and the fat around. So your fat needs to be the lowest. So your fat needs to be 10%, then you go carb up here. So just play around with that. Yeah, and if you're craving chicken chow mein, I would say that's a carbohydrate craving, because chow mein is actually more carbohydrates, and it's probably got some crappy fats in as well, fats that aren't so good for you. So those are your ratios, and I'm talking about women here in particular, and guys do get high estrogen. So guys do get that kind of weight around the hips. So if you're a guy and you've logged on and you get that weight around the hips, that kind of man muffin top or man breasts, you actually just need to be careful of, especially the carbohydrates, but you need to be careful of the foods that are actually raising estrogen levels. So for men, you need to be careful of all the legumes, lentils in particular. You also need to be really vigilant of things like beer, because that will raise your estrogen levels, especially for men. The hops are given to women post-menopausally. So if men are drinking beer, you're definitely going to get the man boobs. You're definitely going to get the muffin top. So most likely in men, your testosterone's low and your estrogen's high. So you just need to get that balance out. And you can get that balance by doing intense interval exercise, getting your body into ketosis. You can actually get a nice balance, and you can get rid of that estrogen and get the testosterone a bit higher. But for women, you need to be really lentils are just for guys that may have a problem with estrogen. So if guys are not detoxing estrogen properly, just need to be careful with lots of lentils. Like too many lentils if you're okay, but if you've got a lentil-ridden diet daily, you just need to be careful, because lentils are estrogenic and they will actually help with put estrogen levels up. So only if you're a guy and you suspect that you've got problems with estrogen. Problems with estrogen in guys may be premature balding. You may have weight on the hips. You may also have man boobs, that's the word. Some men get melasma, so you might have some skin pigmentation, melasma on the skin, and that can sort of like darker pigmentation, and that can sometimes mean that you've got higher estrogen levels. So back to women with the macronutrient ratios, just be careful with the fat and the carbohydrates. So if you're doing a paleo diet, for instance, and you're putting weight on or you're not losing the weight, have a look at those ratios. Definitely make sure that you've got those carbohydrates in your diet if you tend to put weight on in the thigh or bum region for women. So really be careful with those ratios. But whatever you do, keep 50% of your diet vegetables, dark leafy greeny vegetables. Next, we're going to talk about fruit, because some people on a diet thrive on fruit. Some people can just eat fruit and they'll lose weight, they feel fantastic, and that works for them. But it only works for people who have really good balanced blood sugar. You have to have a really good metabolism, a really good balance of blood sugar, and you have to be not stressed to be able to eat fruit as part of your sort of daily routine, your diet, your breakfast, maybe some for lunch. You have to have a really good metabolism and you have to be not stressed. So if you're the type of person that can eat fruit, you will have, your blood sugar will be steady. However, if you have any of these symptoms, so symptoms like intense hunger, waking in the morning feeling nauseous, hungry after eating, cravings for carbohydrates, blood sugar drops in the afternoon, so you may feel fatigued, you may feel tired, you may get pale in the afternoon and you may crave sweets, then you're not the type of person that should start the day with fruit. Okay, so you really need to listen to your body. If you have any of those symptoms, I recommend you start the day with something savoury. So we're looking at something like eggs and avocado, bacon and avocado, chicken soup, a vegetable soup maybe with some protein, that kind of thing. Start the day to balance out your blood sugar, because if you start the day with fruit, you might find that you'll crave more food throughout the day. You know, you'll have the fruit, you'll feel great, and then an hour later you find that you're hungry and you need to snack again. Then an hour later you're hungry and you need to snack again. And so the whole day you're kind of snacking and not really feeling satisfied, you know, that really satisfied feeling. So be careful. So if you're the type of person that gets affected by sugar, definitely don't start the day with fruit. Start the day with something savoury. Another thing fruit does, so if you're feeling fine on fruit and your body's great and you're thriving on fruit and you've got no issues with weight, then go ahead, keep on doing what you're doing. It's fine. Obviously fruit suits you, and it does suit some people. But another symptom will be excessive hunger. So you've got a meal in front of you, and this is when your leptin is out of balance. So if you've got a meal in front of you and you're eating and you just can't get satisfied and you're constantly hungry and you're constantly having to go back for snacks, then you have another meal and you eat again, and it's just like all you can think about is food. You just can't think about anything else. I'd really recommend you do a 2-week cleanse and you actually cut fruit out. Just see how you feel, see how your body reacts. Add more vegetables in there, celery, cucumber. If you make green smoothies, pack them full of vegetables and just go light on the fruit, because the fruit could be what's stopping you from losing that excess weight that you want to lose. So if you suffer from excessive hunger, then I would really recommend you don't have fruit for breakfast. If you suffer from blood sugar fluctuations, I would really recommend that you don't have fruit too much through the day and you start the day with a savoury breakfast, so such as avocado and bacon, avocado and eggs, and a soup or something like that, something really satisfying, because you'll find that you'll be able to go longer without eating. So that's with fruit. So we want 50% of the diet vegetables, we want to have around 20 to 30% protein, and then depending on your body makeup, whether it's kind of you've got more fat on your thighs, you'll go a bit higher carb. If you're more fat around the belly, then you will definitely go a bit higher fat and bring the carbs right down. Don't do zero carbs, especially for women. Don't do zero carbs because it can mess around with your thyroid. So in terms of the thyroid, the food group that you want to be careful with is gluten. So gluten can inhibit the thyroid. And signs of the thyroid being a contributor to your weight gain could be you might be putting weight on here. So either a double chin or weight kind of around the neck here. So that's where it'll go on. So you just need to be careful of barley, you need to be careful of gluten. You know, you even need to be wary of oats. Just see how you go. So all of those gluten foods, rye, spelt, just be careful of those because they can upset the thyroid. Other signs, of course, of thyroid, if you've got thyroid problems, are sluggish in the morning, not being able to wake in the morning, blood pressure being down through the day, fatigue, hair loss, depression, not sleeping at all. Some people get heart palpitations, and definitely the weight, but around the face, it's that kind of weight in the face that can actually indicate a thyroid. So you really need to be careful with gluten. Now, protein is fine and animal protein is okay. So we talked about last week whether beef was okay. So animal protein is fine. I'll always recommend you get a good source, and grass-fed's the best. But I understand not everyone can get grass-fed. So definitely go for your better qualities protein, and make sure you're not having the same protein daily. Make sure you're not having red meat daily. So try and alternate between your fish, your seafood, your red meat, your white meat. So you can do pork, you can do beef, you can do lamb. And just have, for women, really, you only need to have, 100, 150 grams, no more really of the protein on your plate. And whenever you have protein, always have something antioxidant rich. So always have all those vegetables in there, because that can actually help feed the bowel and feed good bacteria and actually prevent any bowel cancer. So you really need to look at having those antioxidants with the meat. I always recommend as well having one day, kind of a vegetarian day. So what this does is it puts your body into a little bit of a natural cleanse. So you can do green smoothies, or you can do salads then, or you can do some soups. But having one day with no meat, it kind of cleanses the cells, so it gets right into the cells and it kind of cleanses the mitochondria and just helps you detox. So I really recommend that. So one day a week. Some people like to also have a fasting day for 1, 2 or 3 days. Juice fasts are a no-no, because juice fasts are just so high in sugar, and your body is just having to process that sugar. It's having to work. So when you do a fast, the best fast you can really do is water. Really good quality water for a day, 2 days, because that cleanses your system. That gets right into the mitochondria, gets right into the cells, and it cleanses on a cellular level. So that's my recommendation with the foods and with the cleansing. So to recap, we've talked about protein versus protein at about 20%. Really have a look at your fat and your carbohydrate levels, because really your body shape will indicate which one you should have more of. Some people can eat lots of basmati rice and it helps them to lose weight. Other people, if they eat a little bit of carb, especially women, they can put the weight on. So just check your body shape, Signs of excess estrogen are sometimes the weight under the arm, the weight on the bum, on the thighs. Nice hourglass shape, so you don't want to change your shape at all. So we're just talking about excess weight that you want to get rid of. But it can stop you just leaning down, especially if you're exercising a lot. So just be careful with your fat and your carbohydrate ratios. Other tell signs of high estrogen can be your period as well. So if you have really heavy bleeding, or bad moods, or lots of craving, or pain during your period, or fibroids, breast fibroids, ovarian cancer, those kind of things, and that can sometimes be a sign of high estrogen. So just be careful then with foods that you're not feeding the estrogen, and just have a look at, make sure you're having lots of vegetables like your brassica, so your broccoli, your cabbage, your Brussels sprouts, and things like those things can help just detox out of the body and detox the liver. So those are the macronutrient ratios. So we're all foods are kind of allowed, except for sugars, not too much fruit. If you do have fruit, if you're one of those people that really find the fruit, you suffer if you have fruit, you either get bloated or you get hungry. The best time to have fruit is just after dinner, so later on in the day, not in the morning. So 50% lots of leafy green vegetables, about 10% starch, so carbs or starch, as you like to call it. And then you want to go for about 20%, 25 to 30% protein, and then fat. You can do anything from 10 to 20%. So just play around. I'm good on a high fat diet. That's what suits me. So I sometimes take my fat up to around sometimes 50%. I'll have a couple of avocados a day. I'll have raw olive oil. I'll have raw coconut oil. I have grass-fed butter. I have olives, so nice olives. And what else do I eat? Those are my main fat sources, and then I'll have some of the fat on the meat, and that's how I keep my energy. You know, can exercise, and that's what's perfect for my body. If I have too much sugar or too much carbs, I'm not satisfied, and I just feel sluggish, and it's not good for my body. But we're all a little bit different, and the reason it works for me is because my hormonal levels, I've got slightly higher testosterone, so high testosterone can actually be an indication of blood sugar problems. So polycystic ovarian syndrome can be a blood sugar problem. Having acne can be a blood sugar problem. So if you've got any of those, then as I mentioned before, when you're looking at your macronutrients, if you've got conditions related to blood sugar, diabetes, PCOS, acne, boils or skin complaints, they're all related to blood sugar. So you need to check your macronutrients and go, okay, go that higher fat, bring the carbohydrates down, and it will actually help to balance out your blood sugar and your cortisol, and then it will help to balance out your weight as well, and just keep your weight stable while you figure that out. So it's a really good look at all your body, look at the other symptoms, and just try and figure out, you know, what is it that's going on for you. So those are the macronutrients with lots of leafy green veg, carbohydrate 10%, sweet potato, basmati rice, legumes, that kind of thing, any kind of protein. So we're looking at good quality meat, we're looking at fish, we're looking at seafood. Vegetable protein can be, if you want vegetable protein, you can look at high protein nuts like walnuts, almonds. You could look at a bit of tempeh in your diet. You could look at quinoa or buckwheat. Those are your vegetarian sources. I'm not a huge fan of tofu because I don't like it as a staple food every day. You know, occasionally it's fine, but not every day. And tempeh the same, occasionally, but not daily as your staple food. You may want to supplement with a protein powder if you're vegetarian, so a pea protein, a protein like Sun Warrior, and add that to your green smoothie in the morning so you're getting that extra protein. So those are your protein sources. Fat sources can be coconut oil, grass-fed butter, fat from your meat. Avocado is a great source of fat. Olives are also an awesome source of fat as well. I love olives. They tick all the boxes for me. The saltiness, the fattiness, they just liven things up, liven salads up, so they're fantastic. Coconut milk, coconut oil. Now the nuts that are higher in fat, so you want to look at your macadamias and your pine nuts. So those two are a bit higher in fat. Seeds and almonds higher in protein. And then if you need to get some starch or you need to get some carb, look for cashews. Cashews are more starchy, they're more carby than your other nuts. So it depends. Choose your nut by what macronutrient you need. Do you need that extra fat, that extra protein, or that extra starch? So choose your nut that way. So those are good nut sources, and just make sure, you are having that avocado, because that's a fantastic source of fat, and it's so good for you. Great snack idea. So I hope that's helped today in terms of weight loss, especially for women today, but in terms of your macronutrient ratios with your vegetables, your starch, your protein, and I've missed something there, your fat. So all of those, just watch how yours goes. And you know, we're looking at 3 meals a day, and we're looking at just a couple of snack times. So you shouldn't be grazing all through the day. It's really your 3 meals a day that should get you through the day. Maybe a green smoothie for breakfast, really nice big salad for lunch, and then some kind of protein and a little bit of sweet potato and some vegetables in the evening. So that's a really good 3 meals a day. And then snacking, half an avocado, some nuts and seeds, a little bit of green smoothie, some roasted vegetables, or maybe some carrot sticks with hummus or a homemade dip or something like that. So I really hope that's helped. I hope that, I think it was Maria, was it, that was asking about macronutrient ratio. So I hope that has helped you and given you a few tips. Next week I'm going to be talking about cravings. I'm going to be talking about food cravings, emotional eating, and what cravings mean for what. So in terms of if you crave, you know, chips, if you crave salty things, if you crave crunchy things, or if you crave like soft things or gooey things, there's lots of different meanings to the cravings and around cravings. So next week I'm going to give you some tips on cravings, and I'm going to give you some insights into what they mean, so it means you can combat them. But if you're a huge craver, my first tip is go download Candy Crush and just start playing. Don't pay to play, just wait for your lives to come back. But just have a go on that, because that really helps with cravings. So I hope you all enjoyed today. It's been great being here with you all. And I look forward to next week, where I'm going to be talking about cravings and what they mean for you emotionally and how you can combat them. So have a great week, guys. See you next week. Bye.